You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. Very good, Dean. From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Louie After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Louie After Show.
One last time, y'all.
Let's just groove out for
Come on. We're just going to groove out for about an hour. Oh, you just half hour?
Oh, yeah. In half hour,
actually,
we'll
10 minutes.
AFTERBUZZ TV, welcome to the podcast for the season finale of Louie, Season 4. I am Mario Hernandez. Sitting across from me, Shannon Rodgers and Kylie Hodges.
Hello.
Yes, and Carrie Long is on hiatus. She is vacationing on with the family in the Gulf Coast. So hello, Carrie. We miss you. We will see you when you return. And we are here to talk about the final 2 episodes of what has been a pretty remarkable season, I think, on Louie.
Yeah.
Somebody just recently asked us, and was it any good? I said, yeah, this has been quite the season. No, thank you, Louie. I didn't know that was there at the end. That's great.
It plays the whole episode.
It's just going to play the episode in the background.
The audio.
In the booth is the mighty Big Ben. Thank you, Ben.
No problem.
All right. We are, before we jump in, just overall thoughts and impressions about this season.
I loved it.
You loved it?
Well, I think it was just strange, and I didn't know what to expect, and I liked always being caught off guard. And then I loved how it ended.
You loved how it ended?
Yes.
All right.
I agree. I really did love how it ended because throughout each story, you see Louie being kind of rejected by love or friendship or some type of relationship and intimacy with somebody.
Life. Yeah.
Just life. And to finally get down to, that moment at the end where they're together and this is the moment they're living very much in the moment. I really enjoyed. It was subtle. It was just really cute.
Yeah. It's I agree with you, Kylie. There were a lot of gear switching and kind of tonal shifts that I think that you really can't do in a lot of other genre shows. We were talking about The Strain is coming up, and that's that's going to have its tone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Modern Family has that tone, and Louie can kind of switch gears.
He's kind of created his own little genre or subgenres within where there's like a gray area that he can push the bar to be this much more dramatic, or it could be this much more comedic, right. Where other shows really don't have that range, that ability to do that. But he does it and does it gracefully. Yeah,
and one of the things that I really liked that he is getting flack from in some circles of the blogosphere is this idea that he doesn't actually have conclusions or lessons drawn from it.
The blogosphere.
Neither
does Stephen King. You ever read a Stephen King book? You're disappointed at the ending because the endings just don't. You're like, why? This is like the third act, Stephen. What are you doing? A lot of them.
He's still, he might still imagine that it's going on. And to me, it doesn't. I think, I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's just one guy talking. So he doesn't have to have the answers for everything. He's just bringing up stuff, like you would be having a conversation with someone. Hey, what do you think of this? Oh, I think this, and that. Okay. What do you think about this other thing? Like, I have no opinion on that. Okay. That's kind of how it is. So you're kind of almost like, 2 guys at a bar, hanging out with him in the Comedy Cellar. And these are some thoughts that he had. He's like, what if I go out to Long Island with Jerry Seinfeld? What if I fall in love with a woman that doesn't speak my language? What if I actually made a move on the girl that has no interest in me. The one that got away,
and
or
then
the one
came back
and abuses me. Of course, we're talking about Louie and Pamela, played by Pamela Adlon, who's on Californication. And I just read, if you can, there's a Rolling Stone interview with her today, and she's kind of carved out her own little corner of the universe here with her kind of sexually frank roles on both Californication and here, where she's just, she says some really just foul things, and yet somehow still can be cute about it. She's almost like she manages to do what most boys don't, because guys always think that like, oh, if I say dirty stuff and girls will love it, and that they rarely pull it off. She's able to do that, and just we can see how she has her own really kind of rough charm that Louie is just drawn to, because everybody else is either crazy or wacky or just does not fit in with his life.
Right.
And someone who will just not let Louie get away with bullshit, is kind of the perfect match in a lot of ways. So the last 2 episodes were Pamela parts 2 and 1, and of course last week was In the
2 and
Woods. I'm sorry, 2 and 3. And last week, of course, was In the Woods, which was this nice little interlude between what we had last seen, Pamela part 1, which was when we had this kind of controversial sexual assault kiss. And so we talked a bit about last week how I think the scheduling of the order of the episodes has been very deliberate, and kind of just like within the show themselves, where you have that tonal shift. Louie leaves you feeling one way after one episode, and then he completely ignored that he was completely icky with Pam, and then does this kind of thing with the weed that we saw last week with his old drug stories from back in the day, and now he's circled back to this very unlikely, unorthodox love affair. And we open Pamela Part 2 on this kind of jazz song, and I don't know if you noticed, that's him scatting on the jazz when he comes up. Yeah, that's his voice.
While
that's
he's
just
standing
like,
in the mirror. And
no, before that, when he pops out of the train, literally the very first scene
calls
when
her.
he pops out, when he calls her, and that's my old neighborhood. That's Greenpoint. That's right up the street from where I used to live. So,
Repping your old hood.
yeah. So, which leads me to believe I think that Pamela lives there now. I assume that's why he was there. He was kind of trying to, hey, I'm in the neighborhood kind of thing. And of course, she just berates him just from the moment they get on the phone, and. Making fun of him, saying, "Hey, this is 2017. Everybody can know who it is," and that just sets up, I think, that's it. We don't need to see much more than that. We see that dynamic that's kind of been the same, but still, like, why does she answer the phone?
She's the worst.
She's got, it's what's interesting, and again, this idea that Louie is exploring these social constructs or these social issues or these just simply issues between men and women, that it's usually the other way around, right? It's usually the girl, traditionally, that has sought some sort of approval, that likes the boy. The boy's a dick, but the boy's a bad boy, but she just really likes that, or just against her parents' wishes.
She definitely has the masculine, the more cliche masculine emotions in this entire situation. Like him saying, "I love you," and she's being like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just aggressive too. And girls are known for being the ones with the feelings.
Right.
And Louie's full of feelings, and she thinks feelings are gross.
Right. And this has been the case all throughout the season. The astronaut's daughter was aggressive and going out with him. Sarah Baker was aggressive and getting him to go out with her.
Sarah Baker, man. Still my favorite.
Coming soon in Tammy. Coming out soon. A small role in Tammy.
Is she really?
Yeah, she plays the counter girl.
Yeah, I thought you were calling her Tammy instead of.
No, she's going to be in the new Melissa McCarthy movie.
Great. She deserves to
hilarious.
She deserves to be Tammy.
Yeah, she should.
I'm only laughing because I thought you were doing a joke.
Yeah.
But
No.
That's even better.
She's
That's
coming
great.
up. You see her in the trailer.
Awesome.
And so Pamela says, you kissed part of my mouth, and that's weird. So. Even in her language, there's a certain almost juvenile quality to it.
I was going to say, this whole first episode felt like watching two sort of stoned teenagers on their first date.
Right.
Because they're just like giggly and like kind of immature about things, and they're just kind of like running around town and, not really paying attention to their surroundings.
Yeah, really kind of doing the superficial, and then the scene that you alluded to, Shannon, which is where he's kind of in the mirror and he's kind of like making faces and bringing up, pulling in his cheeks and his chin. And he's just kind of like, hey, all right.
Yeah.
He's trying to do that, and he is doing that thing where the girl is in front of the mirror and does the transformation,
right?
And the guy reluctantly doesn't want to, he's just whatever. I see like the traditional, almost like a John Hughes kind of thing, where like the guy's like going through his closet and just being like whatever, I don't know.
T-shirt, smells it.
Right. Picks it up off the ground, maybe just. Yeah, that'll do. And Pamela goes shopping, or maybe not shopping, because she sees something off the rack, and then the salesperson, sales girl, comes to her and says, do you want to try that on? She's like, what? No. And throws it back on the hanger and runs out of there. They have a very non-traditional date in that they go, Louie has it somewhat planned out. And I couldn't help but think that the art gallery visit is his notion. If you plug in Louie as the art that they're looking at, I feel that a lot of the facetious things that they were saying about the art is what people are saying about Louie, and probably some of the things they could hear on this podcast, which is, this is the work of genius, this is great, it's so complicated, it's so nuanced, and then him just saying, bite me, it's just a show.
It's so funny because I've been to shows. I recently went to the Mike Kelly exhibit at MoCA in Little Tokyo, and there are some things there that I'm like, am I supposed to know what this is? Like, why am I looking at this city built of, like, melted crayons and buttons from schoolgirls' uniforms or something? And he also had a thing where he took a bunch of pictures from yearbooks from, like, the 50s and recreated them, but made little shorts on them. It was all really weird. And it was just things like, what am I looking at? And that's exactly the same feeling that I got as soon as I saw it. I was like, yes, I was just there like 2 weeks ago. Like, what exactly am I looking at? Some of it I got, but
and they were totally out of their element. I mean, they couldn't relate to anybody else at that exhibit. Right. Everybody seemed like they were very serious into art. And they were like really reading into the pieces, and they were just running around giggling. It kind of seemed like Louie was completely disregarding all the signs she's been giving him that she's not trying to be romantic with him, and he's trying even harder to be romantic with her. Because that was, you were like, I'm jealous. This is a very romantic date.
I would have loved
and it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I want someone to take me. Well, I want my boyfriend to go take me watching, Shooting Stars or whatever.
Exactly.
That's super romantic.
Right.
But like the fact that it's Louie and Pamela is just so like romantic date, and then Louie and Pamela is just it doesn't work. It doesn't fit.
And the art itself, I feel, was kind of a greatest hits of Louie's material, frankly. It's the stuff that Jerry Seinfeld told him, don't do, poop, dog, poop, fornication, dog. Because we had the bag of poop, we had the N-word, we had Jews, we had all of these things
the people
that
laying
were
naked in
right, naked, nudity, which was I think a veiled, not so veiled reference to Marina Abramovich's, maybe I'm pronouncing her name wrong, where she was at MoMA, where there were naked people standing in a doorway, and to pass by them, you had to brush by the naked people to walk, and it was guys and girls, and there's a whole thing. There's actually a really good The Artist is Present, if you can see that documentary on HBO Go.
Interesting. I will go.
Yeah,
it's really cool. No, it's really cool. That kind of conceptual performance art, but it's Louie saying, look, if you're gonna sit there and analyze what is just this, what is literally just a bag of poop or naked people or a phonograph or whatever it was with the record player, then you're navel gazing, you're full of it, you're whatever. So that could you could go either way with that and say, okay, that's either once again Louie being smart and intelligent and kind of grounded, or you can say, well, then screw you. Then why am I watching this? If you have, it just depends on what you feel that his attitude might be toward you as a viewer. And I think in general, he's just saying, this is my vision. This is what I think. I'm just a guy on a bar stool talking. If you don't like it, go sit over there. There's no skin off my teeth. The viewership for Louie is not huge. It's definitely a very niche taste. But I think it's great, and I think it was a great way to incorporate that. Anytime you can do that meta commentary within the show, within this date that is very romantic, that's very requires thought and research, and we see that of course when they move to Central Park. They pick up some Chinese food. Louie has picked up his jacket or sweater or whatever that he had left at the Chinese restaurant before. They order something to go, and once again, Pamela's very hesitant during all of this.
Right.
She says, "Wait, what are you doing? Like, I don't want." She's very clear. Please don't make this a thing.
Yeah.
She's got almost dragged, kind of kicking and screaming into the date. So he's like, just pick something out of the menu to go. She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, don't. Let's just eat." He's like, "No, will you just trust me?" That kept coming up several times. Trust me and go with this. And she does. They make their way to Central Park, and they kind of make fun of. That's an old New York thing where, Central Park used to be, 24 hours a day, and then there were incidents, the women got raped and people got attacked. So Central Park is technically closed at night, even though you can totally go and, because it's a big park. It's not
So it's not
totally
like they fence it off
important.
or anything.
No.
You just shouldn't go.
You just shouldn't, and they know, and there are patrols and stuff. And, when Shakespeare in the Park, for example, when the park opens at like 4 or 5 in the morning, people line up outside of the park, and then at 5 o'clock they open, and they kind of escort the line over. And then you're standing in line for tickets or whatever. So they go out to Central Park. They have their little Chinese food. He unrolls his Mexican blanket. Shout out to his roots and mine as well. Mexico tying Brazil this afternoon, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And they sit there, and we see this thing where we know Louie really cares about her. We know that he has something in store for her. Just sit here. There's almost a moment
Just
where
be in the moment. Like he almost had to like strangle her to just lay down and not do anything.
Well, and when he started narrating, like, look at the stars and let the city fade away and all this other stuff, I was like, oh man, I just see him setting himself up over and over again for Pam to just shoot him down badly.
Yeah.
But she manages, and you see her. She's just kind of like, hey, what is? Why am I doing this? She's just kind of huffing and puffing.
Fidgety little kid.
Fidgety, yeah, exactly. Again, that kind of juvenile, he's taking this girl, and then the shooting star happens, and she flips out. Oh my God. And I thought that was a really great reaction because, I don't think there was actually a meteor shower. And if there was, I think it was you that pointed it out. You're like, you can't see it from the city anyway. It's like, that's probably true.
But I was like, maybe you can if you do it like he's saying. Your eyes will block
adjust.
out. Yeah, they may actually adjust.
Yeah, especially further uptown where it's more residential. Mm-hmm. So it's the lights. If you go south, Central Park South, then you have FAO Schwartz and kind of the park,
and you can see that from space.
Yeah, you can see exactly Times Square below that.
Yeah,
but they're sitting there and they see, and so whatever. Within the story, they see a shooting star, and she flips out, and that's kind of the moment. That's the turning point. That's the moment at which she kind of surrenders. And I love that they didn't explicitly say, oh, you're right, we're so small in the universe. Right?
Exactly.
It was just like...
It was just a moment.
He would never do that.
Yeah, it was just a moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he would never kind of explicitly beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
He would leave it a little ambiguous. Like, who knows why she might have been caught up in the moment. Because remember, he then tries to kind of turn on her, and really she's like, wait, no. Pushes him off, and then just be here. And then the moment that we all loved...
The kiss?
After the kiss.
Yeah.
And
the head rubbing.
The head rubbing.
That's so normal, though.
Real. Yeah.
When you're like you're like, oh, we're not situated just right. This is weird. I'm trying to make it not weird.
Especially even with the blanket, because you're probably like on a rock or like grass or dirt. So it's really
your head.
You're trying to make it in your head.
Bald. Yeah. She's like rubbing his eyes.
I wonder if that line was just thrown out. It's just completely improvised. They
probably did a bunch of takes. Yeah. And I noticed that in this one as well. There were a lot of long takes. There were a lot, and they've been doing this all season.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of kind of, following him and kind of pulling back. There's a moment where they're both on the blanket and the camera pulls back a little and then comes back in on them. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, that DP has been killing it.
Yeah.
What was his name again? It begins with a P.
Is it the same DP every week?
I
believe so.
Oh,
I think only one other time has there been another person. Peter and
Paul. Patrick, Paul.
Pumpkin eater.
McPherson? Kevin's.
Well, we look like
we are really
why don't you tweet at us if you know the DP? We do actually I might have it in my notes from previous episodes.
Yeah, I see.
But so they kiss, and then we have this really. I love talking about the tonal shifts.
Yeah.
We have this thing where they go back to Pamela's apartment, and it is Louie's apartment because he sends her off. He's about to send her off, and they do what would normally be kind of sexy and cute and very modern for people their age. These kind of sexting Where she says, "Do you want to see my underwear?"
Well, she tries to run away first.
Yeah,
Right,
she says you're gonna try and do things, and he's
Right.
like, "Well, yeah, this was a romantic date."
Well, it was
In my head, sometimes I'm just like that. Like if I'm just started dating someone and I know that I want to kiss them, but I don't want things to go too fast or something, I will run out. I'll be like, okay, all right,
Really?
got eye contact. I won't run out, but in my head, I'm very much like that. I'm like, okay. Well, it's been real.
You're spazzy too. Like you get
bit.
nervous and spaz out.
You're gonna
You
get-
and I are like spirit animals in the dating world because we're both
Are we?
aggressive women. We've agreed on that.
You're going to
We're
get all
both
these
spazzy.
messages from exes, saying, "Is that why you said that?" Or
I heard
God,
AFTERBUZZ.
There's not many of them, so.
It's probably a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
No one wants a big track record.
I thought the location of was in that little right by the doorway is kind of a callback to the weird sexual assault because
Right.
she
The
even the
bad
moment she
rape.
kind of stepped in that space, she kind of just got uncomfortable. She runs to the bathroom, comes back, and then he kind of like, "Hey," and she's like, "No, here we go again. You're gonna feelings," and then this time he's not even putting up a fight. He just says, "Just go," and she doesn't like that. And I think
Yeah, right when he stood up and had his balls in his hand again, he was like standing up for himself. She's like, "Oh, wait, you're not letting me bully you around. You're not letting me influence you. You're doing this on your own."
She likes the chase.
So knowing now, I
She's
mean,
the dude.
disregarding exactly. It's like, what? Well, you're not interested. You're not going to be my punching bag.
Yeah.
Disregarding what we know for the end of the show, did you at that point think that she did like him? Did you think, oh, she's just manipulative and abusive?
I thought the whole time she liked him and she was afraid herself. And it could have gone either way of her actually following through and being with him or her not and then maybe regretting it later or what have you,
Yeah, I think so too. I think she's always liked him, but like, I don't get it. Did she like not get hugged as a child or something?
Yeah,
or like, did she have just the most awful previous marriage? Like,
I think she has. She's probably not the best love life. Like she talked about her first kiss and how it was.
she sort of, I had this thought where like, sorry, I completely cut you off.
No, that's all I was gonna say. Her
Okay,
first kiss.
I just had this thought during this episode that like she's so juvenile and her like reactions to things are just so absurd. Like she acts like she's like drunk all the time, Like what
chemically
grown
imbalanced.
woman? Yeah, like what grown woman who like she's a mother. She's like lived a lot of life. Reacts like a 5-year-old to kissing a man.
I guess
What
sometimes
happened?
people don't grow out of. There's something
Yeah.
that sparks in their head, some type of reaction, some type of feeling that they either try to run from, or and if it happens often enough, then that's like an easy access point for your brain to always go to that same reaction, no matter how old you are, unless you try to work on yourself to undo that. But
Yeah.
Because she may have tried the traditional lovey-dovey route with her husband. I mean,
And then-
that's never really fully
and now has her
explored.
guard
No,
up.
yeah, we don't
Yeah.
know
Now
anything.
has a wall up
Yeah.
and doesn't want anyone, especially Louie, who's her friend, to get into that
Yeah.
arena.
to ruin that.
Yeah.
Maybe in her mind, she's ruining what is a good thing, which is a buddy to drink with and hang out with and kind of point and laugh at the world with.
And maybe not able to verbalize her real thoughts and her real feelings of why she didn't want to pursue certain things and say certain things
Right.
like she was saying.
Well, it's a wonderful gift to not necessarily explore that backstory, to kind of leave it mysterious. In that way, we stick to Louie's point of view, which we can all relate to. We all have someone that, depending on how far you went in the relationship, maybe you just dated a few times, or maybe it was a long-term relationship where that person was just an enigma to you, even though you may even know their backstory, and it doesn't matter. You still think, well, why does that person act that way? And we're kind of all the sum of our own experiences. So it's in that exploration, well, what makes this person tick? And in a lot of ways, I mean, my mom hated my dad when she met him the first few times, and my dad insisted, kind of the thrill of the chase kind of thing, and he persisted, and eventually he broke her down.
I love that. I picture them doing like this traditional dance where she like dances away and he like chases after her with like flowers or some like, I don't know, scarf that he waves.
The famous story, so this was in Mexico.
All right, let's hear it.
Oh my God,
the
I
famous
love this.
story is that he one time called her with, he had hired some mariachis
Oh my God.
and he serenaded
Well,
her
duh.
over the phone. And she patiently waited for the song to end. And he gets back on the phone and he says, "What'd you think?" And she goes, "Don't ever call me at this hour again." And click, and hangs up on him. Now he has to save face in front of the musicians. He's just like, "Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, yeah, no, I'll call you tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, gentlemen." You had to pay them and just kind of play it off to save face.
Oh my God.
But you know, who knows? Who knows why that is? And of course, for the purposes of this show, if he gave up, if she somehow did something so awful to him, or maybe she disappeared. She says, "Oh, I got a call from my ex. We're going to patch it up." Disappeared. Then the show is over. That storyline is over. So you need that kind of give and go to do it.
Right.
So I think from a writer's perspective, you're sitting there going, "Okay, how do I reverse engineer this? How do I get them to there by putting in these little vignettes along the way?" And so we have this sexting that they do, where they're doing the underwear kind of back and forth to each other.
I feel like it needs its own term if it's between Louie and Pamela.
Oh, yeah. It just was weird. I just wondered what those
Pluing?
pictures looked
Pluing?
like.
Pluing. I like pluing. We're going to pluing.
They're pluing to
They're
each
pluing
other.
each other.
That sounds...
Sounds French. I like it. It
Yeah.
sounds sophisticated.
They were pluing to
Ooh
each
la
other.
la, they
I
were
don't know what that
pluing
sounds
on the phone. So then he wants to kind of make a move, right? He's anxious. He's kind of trying to jump the gun. And she said, "No, you have to do the same back to me." And he comes around the corner and she just kind of smiles at him. We cut to commercial. The morning after, ding dong, ding dong. What is that? It kind of takes him a moment. Echoes of earlier in the season with like the garbage men coming in with the upstairs neighbors. The
Right.
things. It's like, what is that? And he completely forgot that it was his morning to be with the girls. And so the whole family is there. The girls go running in. He's kind of in a daze. He doesn't connect the dots. Now the girls know Pam, and they know they've been kind of probably pushing for it, right? The girls are involved enough in his life that they, right? Because Pam babysat them.
Yeah.
And so when Louie comes in now, they are sitting in bed with Pam and saying, "Oh, your dad's girlfriend?" And then she does something that you would never see if it was a guy. Because if it was a guy sitting there saying, "Are you kidding? I wouldn't be with your mother. Look at her. She's fat." She's doing this
Right.
whole
Horrible.
thing.
Yeah, right.
She just proceeds
She
to berate
berates him.
and they laugh. The girls
Yeah,
laugh.
she's poking fun at him like at the same way the girls do. They like find it all in good humor.
Yeah, and he just takes it. She called him a freaking mailbox on 2 tree stumps. Like, that's
With a
so
melon-
mean.
with a melon
yeah,
up
the
top.
melon head.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And then she's like, "Look at Daddy's ass. Turn around, Daddy. Look at that ass."
He was liking
That's horrible.
it. He was liking it. When he turned around, he was smiling.
It's even
Just the
funnier
fact
because
they have camaraderie together.
Right? Yeah. Like they can dig at each other and shoot
Yeah.
the shit. But like the fact that she did it in front of his girls, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then later on in the next episode, when he's like shy to take off his shirt, she's like, "No, come on, I'm attracted to you." It's like, well, 20 minutes ago you called him a mailbox.
Right.
So, are you
Right.
serious?
But that's how you know it's affectionate, and that's how you know she's slowly. These are glacial steps. And,
Yeah.
and for Louie, I think he will take the woman that he likes or loves in this case. And there's that word again, love, for him to do. We'll talk about that shortly. But for him to have this woman that he really likes in his bed in the morning, he'll take it. He'll take the insults because that's all part and parcel of it.
One other small thing that I really liked was when Janet was dropping the kids off with Patrick.
Yes.
Right? And he asked to use the bathroom, and Louie just keeps closing
Close the door. Just close the door on him.
Loved
Dick
it.
move.
Well, we haven't seen Patrick since before the storm, so
Right.
this
I
is-
thought he got washed up.
right, or yeah,
Stuck at work or something. I don't know.
stuck at work. He was at work that whole time, and then that
The
was
trains were running. He had to stay there.
yeah. Part 2 of Pamela, so good stuff. Hey, if you haven't checked it out, Maria Menounos has a new book out, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and
I
Fitness.
don't want to touch it because it might fall.
Collapse, but yeah, check it out. You can
Gesture
you can
to
pick it
it.
up pretty much anywhere, and it's a really good book. Lots of recipes in there, and kind of her voice and her story of how she struggled with her body and weight issues, and really in her just classic kind of Maria charming voice, and really, really nice, really honest. Check that out. Part 3, which is the official season finale of this season of Louie. Louie's coming home with a bag of groceries, and he notices that the moving guy is carting his couch down the street. And he says, "Hey, that's my couch."
Yeah. What the heck?
And the moving guy can't say more than 2 words. He's just like, "Lady said so."
Yeah, it's just it's I'm doing a job here. I got 10 jobs to do today. Please don't.
No questions.
I don't
Don't let
have
me
time for this.
interfere.
So clearly Pam has been left alone with the girls, and Louie walks into an empty apartment where they're bouncing the ball around, and he is not happy, to put it mildly.
Right.
I mean, how would you feel?
He handled it way better than I would have.
Yeah.
I would have freaked the F out.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
He's being very composed for his girls.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, I agree. I think if the girls weren't there,
The girls weren't there.
He would have had a thing or two to say.
Shitstorm.
yeah.
And the fact that he laughed about it at all, like, I thought he would have been like, "No, get out of my house. I'm done with you, devil woman."
Well, then he wouldn't know where his stuff went.
That's also
then he literally just has an empty apartment.
He keeps her around so he can hunt it down.
So, and she tells him, "You're going to thank me one day." So we see what is probably what happens in a lot of couples. I know this certainly happened with my wife, is when we consolidated our stuff, is what goes, and surprise, it was mostly my stuff, because my stuff isn't that great. And her stuff is older. It's been in the family. It's like nice home stuff.
And like, girls love cleaning up boys. I'm in the process of doing that with my boyfriend. Oops, if he's listening, sorry. But like, I have started
projects.
buying him clothes. I'll like go shopping and I'll be like, "Oh, I just happened to be in the men's section and I happen to love this shirt and it's in your size. Try it on."
Nice.
Sneaky.
Women love changing men though. That's like they're like projects.
Right. And Louie is.
Louie's a project.
Louie is a
But-
project and a half.
Yeah.
I feel like he wants it, even though he seems reluctant about it in the moment. And obviously, it's very extreme to like replace someone's furniture without getting their permission. But I think
Or
he
you
kinda
could look
likes
at it, that's one way. Or you can just say it's just stuff, which is what I think.
He probably
It's kind of somewhere. It's somewhere in the. It's a little bit of both, because on one hand you say, well, it's just my stuff. I don't attach any actual significance to it. While it does have actual, it has emotional significance, and it has, and depending on how you feel about relationships, that could have the story could have veered off in that direction. So you can't change me. Look, you can't be hot and cold. You can't one moment not want to be with me and the next moment changing my life. These are just cosmetic things. But I agree. It's symbolic. It's where their relationship is going.
I feel like he would be more mad about the fact that she went and did this without telling him than the actual stuff being gone. It's like the principle of the matter. We didn't discuss this. You didn't ask me.
Right, but this has been Pam's
that's
MO
her
from the
thing,
get-go. Is just to be aggressive and just not check in. You could argue that this is not a healthy, partnership. That this is not an equal partnership.
Absolutely
They're not. His attempts at communication only when he threatens with just leaving her, which is
to
to
get
say,
her attention.
Is to get her attention, and then she acquiesces, or then she says, "Okay, here's the thing." So for whatever reason, something in her past hasn't allowed her to talk about things, to confront things. Maybe that's what happened in her marriage. That's why her marriage dissolved. We don't know, but Louie really cares about her, and she knows she has the upper hand until those moments. But she takes advantage of the fact that he's not there, maybe with the girls, kind of getting the girls as an ally and cleaning his house all together. So then what do? She says, "Are you mad?" So, of course, that's my stuff. Come on, you're going to thank me. It's fine. It's just stuff. Well, he says, "I got to take the girls back." This is kind of passive-aggressive way of ending their time together. He says, "Well, I got to take the girls back." And the girls say, "Well, you should come." And no one can, and all of a sudden Louie thinks, "Great, I will make you uncomfortable."
Yes.
And he gets excited. He says,
Revenge.
"Yeah, come with us." Yeah. And
Come meet Mom.
And I like that we didn't see her reaction. We cut to
Meaning mom.
Mom opens the door, and Mom seems to be fine with it. The girls have probably told her about
Yeah,
Pamela.
she said she's heard all sorts of
Of
stories
things.
about him.
Yeah. So it's probably not that big a deal. Louie, I'm sure, was a little bit deflated because he probably wanted to, a little awkwardness. And
I can't believe he didn't expect her to ruin it or like ruin a moment because like that's Pamela's forte is taking something perfectly fine and making it really obnoxious or awkward.
well, and
she
he sets
did both.
and he sets himself up for that. So you
Yeah.
think, oh, okay, she's gonna do something, and she doesn't even do much. She just kind of points out the awkwardness of them just kind of standing around the cleanness or the normalness of the apartment, especially given Louie's chaotic life and now his empty apartment. Here's this kind of very pleasant home that presumably was rebuilt after the storm, but she just says like, so this is how it is, and then
We're both parents.
yeah, we're all parents here. Great.
It's just funny because she's like, it's easier for her to shoot the shit with Louie's daughters than it is with people her own age.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
like, so
She's on their level.
Here we are.
She's juvenile in that way. And then we get to, I gotta say, I did not like this particular detail where they finally
asked the
question.
I couldn't wait. I've
I
been patient
loved
the
that.
whole time
Yeah.
while you were talking about that because I couldn't wait to talk about it right now.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like
Hold on, which I should say. So we're talking about the question where it says, why is their mom, why is she black?
yeah.
He says, what, I can't marry a black woman? He says, no, you can marry a green elephant, which you actually can't marry a green elephant. But
Can't marry green elephants.
you can't. I've tried. But
In Mexico, green elephants are plenty,
well, it's
and they go on stargazing dates.
There- yes, you can do that.
Mariachi bands.
The laws are
Mariachi
different
bands.
there, and you just have to deal with it. But here in the States, it's okay to not, you can't marry elephants, but you can marry a black woman. And he says, no, but how did those translucent children come out of her?
I like that. I liked the word translucent is what I was getting at.
I
but-
loved that because I identified with that. I was like, oh shit.
That's me.
Well, it's funny because people like that is a very real thing where if one parent is white, the offspring, if you're gonna mate with another Caucasian, it's possible that those kids will be white. Probably not that white. They got some really fine straight hair, but close enough. But people don't realize that. I don't know. That's like the first thing people talk about in an episode. When an episode is shot beautifully, written well, acted beautifully, all the jokes hit. All the cast is like amazing and all deserve Emmys. And the one thing that people get after is like, why is she black? Huh? What?
Yeah.
This makes no sense in my world. Like there's nothing in my brain is making this equate to something that's true. It's all like, what's going on? So I liked that he went ahead and just answered it, I guess, in kind of a like passive, like threw it away within 60 seconds. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a question.
Right.
It just shouldn't be.
It should be.
Who cares?
Right.
Yeah.
But he addressed it because he knew everybody was thinking it.
Sure.
Like, I mean, we had talked about it when we saw her earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah. I just feel that to whatever degree it was, I don't want to say a joke because it wasn't a joke, but it was idiosyncratic. It was unique to this show, and it just didn't need to be explained. So, why did the Miami Heat get washed away, first by the Storm and second by the Spurs?
Poor LeBron.
Poor LeBron.
Spurs.
But I don't know. I get it. That way we can kind of move on and get it off the table. Plus provide one more opportunity for Pam to really kind of needle Louie and say, well, the grandmother's white. Oh, well, did it come out of her?
I did like that line.
Yeah.
That was really funny.
And so,
Filthy to refer to.
well, yeah. I mean, we had
like that.
Dick and Pussy, and we later see Louie's rear end, which I'm sure we'll not be able to remove from our minds for a while.
Just a crack. There's not really a gluteus
It's a
maximus.
slit.
Yes.
It's a slit. It's not even. Yeah.
How does one sit in a chair
As a
like
flat-bottomed white girl, I can relate to him. I imagine his butt aches after sitting in a chair after an hour the way mine does.
Really?
Yeah, I have like a bony butt. I have a flat butt, and it's just sitting is no fun. Yeah. The vibe in the room
hard.
just got really uncomfortable.
Sounds hard.
Me and
Yeah,
Mario
tell us
are
some
like,
more.
we got
my life is
butts.
hard.
No, actually, I don't have
Poor
much of a butt
flat-bottomed
myself,
white
so
people.
I try to not think about it too much. But then Louie, what George Costanza would say is it's a pretty, hangs a pretty big matzo ball out there. He says, "I love you," or he says, I want to feel these things. I want to talk about these things. I want to talk about love, and I want basically, once again, I want to be a couple.
Right. Do the stuff
I
that
want to
couples
do the stuff that couples do.
Say the stuff that couples say. He wants it all right away.
He wants it all. And so, is that fair? Is that strange?
It's not fair, and it is strange only because he moves way too soon. Like he doesn't read what she's literally saying to his face. He doesn't listen. He just keeps moving at the pace he wants to move at.
That's true. And then he's like defensive about it.
Yeah.
But
she's like, "What do you want? I've literally told you from the get-go, I do not want this," and you keep pushing it harder and harder and harder.
instead of listening to her feelings, he's just taking what she's saying and putting it back on him. Like, oh, well then, playing the victim almost.
Yes, yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Is that love or is that desperation? Do we think that
It's not desperate. It's like his level of insecurity. He needs somebody to validate him. And I think that he's
Yeah.
trying to find that through her.
'Cause he
And
loved-
at his
Oh, yeah.
expectations. Yeah.
I mean, he loved a woman he couldn't even talk to.
right?
Yeah.
And then he turns around and loves a woman that has always rejected him, so.
And we've seen this traditionally, women doing this. We've seen, almost every romantic comedy or every romantic trope is that the woman's a mess, and if the guy that she's been pining for would only see her for the beauty that's inside or whatever, right? We see the makeover, the girl, she gets made over by a friend, and all of a sudden she finally turns his, yeah. And now we see it with this guy, but it's not, the makeover does not happen, does not happen at all. But he definitely does not, part of his charm or his charm offensive is to just be himself and kind of be more of himself and make himself more vulnerable. And because I think this is another commentary on this, that if you're a guy, you don't have to make yourself beautiful. We don't see the montage of Louie, running and losing
Eating
the weight
kale
and
at the
eating
gym.
kale and just eating kale at the gym with his brother. We don't see that. Instead, we see him do kind of the internal thing and research a date, go out on this date, make an effort. And he says, "Fine, you don't want this, I'm gone," leaves. She calls him, says, "Come back up." Now, what did you think was going to happen when she said, "Come back up to my apartment"? Did
I
you
thought
think
it was
anything?
going to be something like that.
I thought she was gonna, say it back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't have made sense for her to say it back. You know,
Right.
I mean, I don't think she does love him the way he loves her.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of, appreciation and affection, but I don't think she's romantically in love with him. She
Right.
kind of spells that out for him in the tub.
Okay.
But that's not what I was expecting.
Ben, have we got guests that are about to join our podcast? It sounds like we have people knocking on
Well,
our
we
door.
started late.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he returns. He comes back inside, and she's waiting for him in what is arguably one of the more cinematic or more romantic parts of the show, which is she's sitting in a bathtub surrounded by candles, and I started thinking about all these cinematic allusions. The candles reminding me of Kubrick's Barry Lyndon, and he eventually gets in the bathtub, which is kind of this weird last tango in Paris kind of thing. But he says, she wants him to get in, and he starts disrobing, and he doesn't. And the shirt is kind of the final thing. She says, "Take off the shirt," and he says, "Well, I've never actually taken off my shirt." He's like, "I've been very purposeful in not taking off my shirt around you during sex." Mm-hmm. And I've heard of that. I've heard that, not with a guy, but with women. I've heard women or certain things that I've been with some people that are like, "Oh no, you want the lights off," or "You want the," it's always.
I've noticed that throughout the show with Louie Like, there have been scenes where he, like, has sex with a woman and he's laying in bed with his shirt still on.
Right.
And I've thought,
Well, we see that a lot, especially in like PG movies, or we see TV movies where they've just finished making love. Yeah, and somehow they're wearing a shirt, or they're the guy is he gets up and he's like wearing his underwear or something under the covers, and you're like, come on.
that's what you do with the underwear on.
Right. That's how it gets done.
Duh, kids. Duh.
So she kind of she laughs at him again, and it's kind of this stop-start thing where he takes off the shirt. She laughs. He says, "Come on, if you're going to do that." He says, "No, it's fine. Get in. Look, get in." And we have the kind of Archimedes in the bathtub where he gets in, and all of the water gets displaced, overflows. The waterfall that takes out a few candles for sure. And then she asked him to lean in on her. She basically kind of spoons him in the bathtub, and she asked him, "What was your first kiss?" And I think, of course, both of these stories are very indicative. Louie's story being very indicative of of the person that he's become, kind of the narrative for the rest of his life, which was this girl that kissed him, made fun of him. It was done on a dare, but he bounced back, and he was very philosophical about it, and kind of, hey, I'll take what I can get, and good for her, and maybe I wish somebody had challenged her to blow me. Meanwhile, Pamela's first kiss story, which I don't even think she ever got to the kiss.
No, I was so confused by that.
I thought she was going to say the principal had kissed her, like when he took her home.
That would explain.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of
right?
things about Pamela.
That's what I mean. I thought it was going to be some sort of deranged, sordid tale of how her first kiss, and it's just kind of dangled out there. But instead, she says, "Look, I'm not built like that. I'm not able to share these moments and say these things. I know you want me to be lovey-dovey. I know you want me to be a girlfriend, but that's not something that I do. So if you can just take," and I wrote acceptance, if you could just accept what we have here and what this is and kind of be in the moment, is that all right?
And finally they were, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Finally
so
he stopped
nice.
worrying about how he should be acting or how she should be acting or how they should be acting together, and just accepted where they were in each other's lives. It was great.
He wrapped it up in a nice bow.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it.
You loved it. Yeah. I didn't. I
Really?
totally thought. I was like, come on.
Was it too hokey for you?
Not so much hokey. It just, to me, kind of betrayed. It betrayed the promise that was made, which was that life is miserable. And I get that, you can't have pure misery, and there has to be kind of a gasket to let go, to kind of let some of the air out and kind of the emotion, so that it's not, a tale of two people abusing each other. But to me, a lot of the jokes that were kind of in between were that gasket. They have this very unlikely, very strange relationship, and I don't need to relate to it or to understand it to appreciate it. I'm sure there's, every relationship is uniquely effed up in its own way. So it's, I don't know. I thought it was very. It to me seemed like we could end the series right here. This could be the end of, and who knows? We might see it, because it's the way the timetable works. I think it's kind of like a Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of deal. It's just like, well, when Louie feels like doing another season, he'll do another season, and when Larry David, if he wants to do another Curb Your Enthusiasm, he'll do it. But there's no timetable. There's no the network will take it whenever. Mm-hmm. So for maybe we could go to our predictions and then ask if this is the end of Louie.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
There we are.
Crystal ball.
The last.
I see in the microphone.
I see in the fuzzy microphone the spittle of many hosts before us. Predictions, the final predictions for Louie. And by the way, I don't think any of our predictions came true.
Oh,
and that's a mark of a good show, by the way. I think that's a really good show.
Actually, good call.
Yeah, that nothing that we anticipated happening happened. Meaning not only that Louie did his own kind of twists and turns, irrespective of what we wanted or what we expected, but that there are just so many wonderful possibilities. I think in other shows, going back to this idea of genre shows, you're not gonna you're gonna have, Game of Thrones. somebody that you like is going to die. Walking Dead. Somebody is going to die. One of the major characters is going to die, or somebody is going to turn into a zombie or something. You just know what's going to happen on this show. You know, it could get really serious. It could get really goofy. It could get, you know, both. It could. So what's next for Louie now that he's found, seemingly, his one true love?
Somebody's gonna die.
Somebody's gonna die.
Someone's turning into a walker.
Gosh, I don't know. I would like to see. I mean, the girls have grown up so much on the show, but I would really like to see more of Lily and Jane, especially Jane. I mean, she had a really interesting season. She's gotten a little weird, and I like that. I want to see her get weirder and become a teenager.
Right.
I actually really like that.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, I would like to see Louie progressing out of working in the Comedy Cellar, like she was talking about. If you wanna, after they talked to Mark Maron about him doing a show, and he's like, "I'm a bad friend" or whatever, you know, and she's.
We didn't talk much about that.
We didn't, but she, you know, kind of was like, Louie, if you want to make a show, if you want to, you know, she was his like motivation, kind of like her saying that to him made him feel less like he would be selling out at that point, and more like, oh, I can do it any kind of way I want, like, you know, in reality. Yeah. I wonder if that's how it really was in real life.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
With Pamela herself?
Or no, just
the making
of his own show.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would be interesting if on the show he is progressing more as a professional.
Sure. Well, I think she's been contributing to the show from the get-go. She's an executive producer and has contributed. She was actually a co-writer of the show. I saw that in the credits. She has really kind of driven some of the more, I would say, kind of female-centric episodes of the show. There was one where his pregnant, I think it was his sister, thought she was having a baby, and turns out it was just gas. That was her idea, because they had gone to dinner with some friends, and somebody told that story that their sister had done this. So I'm leaning with you all that there will be this, that she will have not necessarily a calming presence in his life, but she will really force him to examine some stuff, that she will really hold his feet to the fire and really, you know, not look away when Jane, you know, more of Jane's wheels come off. Or even, you know, Lily had we had one kind of minor thing where she was smoking pot, and that was a big deal. But yeah, lots of good stuff, I'm sure, in store for season 5.
Thanks for
thank you so much.
This has been like really fun, actually.
Yeah, this has been a great discussing, and we hope you guys have been enjoying it. Make sure you go to iTunes if you download us. You know, tell a friend, rate us on iTunes. Thank you so much to Maria, to Phil, to Steven, Marissa, Krista, Roxy, and of course Ben, Big Ben in the booth. Thank you so much. Hey Kylie, if somebody wants to find you on social media, what can they do?
Yeah, look for me on Twitter and Instagram at the Kylie Hodges.
And you, Shannon?
I'm Shannon Joy Rodgers, and Rodgers is with a D.
Okay, and I'm Cinemario. That's Cinemario. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. We hope to see you on another show, and if nothing else, hopefully we'll cross our fingers for season 5 of Louie.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.